Pastor Oliver's been going through a similar season where he's felt a restlessness and a stirring for something new in his pastoral calling and in his heart. And so he's preparing to finish his role with us here at the house and has a vision for a new season in ministry and another gospel expression. And so I'm going to invite Pastor Oliver to come and share part of his journey over the past year, going back almost to maybe a year ago or so when we were in our own holiday time and summer holiday time about a year ago. So Oliver, take us back to that time and how you felt the Lord began stirring something new in your heart.
Yeah, thanks, Chad. Hey, it's good to be with you tonight. Just almost a year ago, beginning of August last year, I came into the office and it was a normal week for me, but it just didn't feel like a normal week. Something had kind of shifted and was just feeling like out of place for me. We were up early with our youngest son at the time, and I was like, maybe I'm overtired, or maybe we had some like bad pizza or something. But we were just wrestling through, like, man, something feels off. And there was nothing in that week that felt off. There was no conflict. It was just a very normal week. We went on vacation, my wife and I, the next week. And just kind of thought, like, when we come back, maybe things will be normal again. We'll feel right at home again. And came back and essentially just something had shifted. We started to feel like something's going on in our hearts beyond just being tired or whatever. Like something is stirring in our hearts. And so we began to pray into that and think through that and begin to process. And we had a couple people who helped put some language to that. One person said, it sounds like, maybe God is kind of releasing you. And another person said, it sounds like maybe the grace for you to be at the house is kind of lifting. And so we just began to think and pray like, God, what would you have next for us? In the midst of that, we also found out we were pregnant with our daughter, Lucy. And so it was a lot happening at that time. And we were praying and thinking like, God, what do you have for us? And we right away just kind of felt like God had us here in the city, in Kelowna. We love our city, and it didn't feel like the invitation for us was like, God, we'll go anywhere. Like, we'll just go to the end. Like, not that we don't want to have that posture, but just that it felt like that wasn't the door God was opening. And so we were wrestling through, maybe there's a different church community or something new that we'd be a part of. And in the midst of all of that, thinking, praying, processing, discussing, I had this question come to my mind, which is this question: what if you planted a new church in Kelowna? And I initially dismissed that thought because I have never once thought about planting a church anywhere. And it's never been like an ambition or a goal or like a bucket list thing for me. In fact, if anything, I've thought like church planters are kind of crazy. Like they're a little bit strange. They're just like, there's a certain thing about them that I don't have. And so we kind of wrestled through that, shared it with a couple of people, thinking like, man, they'll probably just say like, you're crazy and like, don't do that, it's hard. And a couple key kind of trusted people we shared it with just said, man, it maybe feels like there's something to this to explore. And so we just kept coming back to this thought, like we would think about other things and then come back to this thought, and think about other things and come back to this thought. What if you planted a church in Kelowna? And for us, that's one of the ways we felt God has spoken to us, is just like a thought that you can't shake. And so we shared this with Chad in September last year. And from then on, we have just been kind of, essentially our posture has been to take one step at a time with open hands to explore what it would look like to plant a new church in our city. And we don't want to do this, like we never wanted to do this if God was not in it. And so we've just been taking one step at a time. And we really feel that this is the invitation from God for us in this season of our lives, to see a new expression of the gospel take place in our city. And so that's a little bit of an update from us.
Cool. Well, planting churches is it's a unique thing, and that's really what we call just launching a new church, a new faith community. And I know that some of us may think, like, well, you drive around Kelowna, there's churches everywhere. There's a lot of churches. Like, do we really need another church? And like, is that the best thing to do? And so, Oliver, how would you answer a question like that?
Yeah, I think it's a fair question if you're thinking that. For the most part, I think the simple answer is that there's a lot of people in our city who don't know Jesus. And we just believe, like, Jesus has a life that he offers us that is beautiful and good, that is fulfilling, that people need. And so that's the simple answer. The more nuanced answer is, like, why a new church? And we just feel like and believe, like, new expressions of the church, new expressions of the gospel reach new people. Similar to the story of the house that Chad shared tonight. Like, I love the story. I love the old hot tub. Not sure that's, like, totally protocol, but like, I love that Chad was reading the city going, man, there seems to be a need for a new expression of the gospel in our city. And here we are, and it's why we're in a warehouse in an industrial area. And it's not because Evangel was doing something bad. It's not a good, bad, better, worse kind of thing. It's just different. Different expressions reach different people. And so our hope is to do something kind of similar, to stay within our denomination and in our city, but with a new expression. And it's kind of one of the reasons why we in conversation with Chad and the board, there's lots of models. There's multi-site, there's campus, there's, like, all these different models. But it's one of the reasons why we landed on, like, a new church with a new expression and a new vision. Because I think, like, there are so many great churches in our city. Like, we love the work of God in our city. And we celebrate that. But I do see and feel like there's a need for a new expression. Maybe one that's a little bit more ancient than it is innovative, that's maybe a little bit more geared around tables as much as it is around a stage. And I think that has formation, spiritual formation and practice as part of the core DNA, like a culture of discipleship. And so if you've been around at all in the past number of years, you'll know that those are themes that Karissa, my wife, and I have tried to lean into and live out. And so we're in this season of just dreaming about, like, God, what would it look like for that to be part of the core DNA of a new faith community in our city? But if I were to just kind of summarize it, there's this quote from Pastor Rick Warren, who's, like, North America's pastor. Everyone loves him. And he says this: we need all kinds of churches to reach all kinds of people. And so that's kind of some of the vision for why we are exploring a new expression of the church.
That's great. Appreciate you sharing that, Oliver. Our Pastors Council, which is our board here at the church, we've been working with Oliver for a number of months and having conversations and working through things. We really want to be committed to helping this transition happen in a healthy, positive way and make sure it's a blessing and supporting. We want to affirm Oliver's leadership as a pastor and see him as a gifted pastor and somebody that we trust and is a celebrated part of our team, and that we certainly are behind and endorse and support. And so we believe in Oliver. We know he's going to do a good job, and there will be, years from now, there will be community gathering in a church that he's leading that wasn't there before because of what God started to stir in his heart, and for taking some steps of obedience and some steps of faith to say, God, if this is what you want to do, then I want to lean into it, and I want to see something happen. And that is it's a really great thing. And so we are working with the PAOC. We've had a number of meetings with our fellowship of churches, and we're connecting with some other churches here in the city and working on ways that we can support this church plant and get behind it and help see that it's successful when it gets going. And I just want to share a couple of practical steps just for us and kind of timelines and the transition and how it all work. And I know there will probably be a number of questions that some of you have. Oliver will finish up with us at the end of summer and begin the pre-launch phase, working on the vision and details for the new church. Remember, we talked about incubation is the stirring, and there's something going on, and that's where Oliver and Karissa have been living. And there is this idea of revelation where eventually that grows and it becomes like, okay, something's happening here. And that pre-launch phase is really the time when we get into the fall season, and Oliver and Chris will dedicate their heart and their time and their attention to refining what that vision is and all the details and all the logistics around it. And the plan is to launch a new church at Easter of 2026. That's when they're hoping to make everything go live. And so Oliver will remain on our team here for July and August. You'll still see him around, and he'll continue to be a part of our community. And he's going to focus on finishing well and helping us prepare for the next season and the transition ahead. We have begun a search process for a new associate pastor hire. We plan to run all of our ministries for the fall season. We're still committed into our church's expansion vision and leading forward into all of those things, and just trusting that the Lord is going to not only direct Oliver and Karissa into a season of blessing and new life, but will also continue to do that here in our church in that way. And so we are looking forward to seeing how the story unfolds, both here at the house and in Oliver and Carissa's ministry as they step out into this new season. And we'll have lots of time to share more in the coming weeks, and there'll be an opportunity to connect with Oliver before he finishes up here. But Oliver, do you have any kind of closing thoughts or anything you want to share just as we kind of wrap this kind of time up?
Yeah, I think it's important just for you to hear from me that Karissa and I feel like we're leaving a really, really great church. And, you know, some of you have been around longer than others, but there is a board here. We call them our Pastors' Council. There's Chad and our staff team. They are quality, gifted, amazing people to work with. We, just like this vision was not on our radar a year ago, it also was not on the radar of the house. There's lots of other things on their radar, and we just kind of had to plunk it into their lap and say like, hey, this is what we feel God is kind of calling us into. And so in that process, Chad and the board have been really honorable. They've been totally fair. They've been very supportive along the way, and we've just felt like really grateful for the leadership here. And so, you know, some of like our closest friends are on staff. We believe in this vision of the house. We want to see the house succeed in every way. And I've been joking with my wife this week. It's like, as we started to tell people, I'm like, it feels like we're breaking up with like 15 different girlfriends. And like every time I'm like, it's not you, it's me, right? Like, it's like, I'm having the same conversation, but like, we mean that. Like, there's something really beautiful and amazing happening here at the house that we have been just so grateful to be part of. And we're going to miss it. Like, we are leaving not hurt or bitter, but healthy and grateful for our time on staff here, and it will forever mark our lives. And so at the end of the day, the thing I would want to leave you with tonight is just a simple thought around kind of why we ultimately are stepping into this. This for us is not a step of like personal preference or like that would be cool or like, oh, I've always wanted to, nor is it something that we've done with haste or like without talking to some wise people around us and discerning and praying through this. But we've ultimately landed on this sense that like this is God's invitation and we want to be obedient. And somewhere along the way, someone said to me like, obedience is God's love language. You know, there's like love languages, like, you know, words of affirmation or acts of service or gifts or whatever. And he just said like, obedience is the love language of God. Jesus says, if you love me, you will obey my commands. And so for us, we are taking the step out of obedience. There's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of things to figure out. There's a lot of uncertainty. At this point, it's literally just my wife and I and our 3 kids. And we've expanded. When we started the church like a year ago, there's 4 of us. We had 2 kids, and we've expanded since then. So we're growing, we're multiplying. No, we are, at this point, there's not much that we have, but it feels like a step of obedience for us. And so I would just love for your prayers for us. If you're a praying person, if you like have a list, bump us up a few notches, bump your friend down. And we would just like really appreciate that in this season. Pray for those who would feel compelled to be part of this with us. And just for the whole thing, there's a lot of unknowns for us, and we would just love your support in that way in this season.
Great. Thanks, Oliver. We're going to get the band to come as we get ready to kind of wrap this time up. We know many of you will have more questions, and the Pastors Council, we have an email that's getting sent out tonight. If you are on our email newsletter list, you'll get that. If you're not, it's a great opportunity to sign up so you can stay updated on some of those things. And we'll do our best to kind of keep some updates going and keep everybody informed of the next steps as they come our way. Some of you may want to know more about the church plan or how you can help support it. And as we mentioned, Oliver is going to focus his time for July and August here on the church here and helping us transition and getting ready for the fall and all that's involved with that. And then it will be in September when he's wrapped up here that he'll start really pouring in and focusing in on and refining the vision and clarifying things and working on the details, and all of that stuff will come down the road and he'll be able to share more then. And his last Sunday will be with us, his last Sunday night will be with us August 24th. And so we're going to do a little prayer and commissioning time, pray for Oliver and Karissa, and just to release them in their new calling and to bless them in their new calling. And some of you may want to say, hey, how can I support this, or how can I get behind this? And so on that night, we'll take up an offering, a missional offering, a special missions offering that will go directed to helping support the church plant. And so that's your opportunity to come with some preparation that night. We'll do a reminder for you. We used to pass around, way back in the day, we passed around offering plates. And we don't do that anymore. We just have the donation station because we kind of, a lot of times people give with...
I say we bring it back.
Yeah, we bring it back.
Bring it back.
I preached one time on giving, and we passed around the places, and I said, some of you just need to give whatever God's got in your pocket. And we collected up the offering plates, and there was like paper clips and Home Depot receipts and gum wrappers. And so we're hoping that there's more for us to invest in this church plant at that time. But, there will be an opportunity for us to still celebrate Oliver and Karissa. This is the announcement. This is not the send-off. And so they're still with us for a little while, but more of that will come. And, so much of what Oliver has shared tonight comes down to being obedient to what God puts in our heart. And this is something that we can all relate to. And the question really is like, what might the Spirit be saying to you? What stirrings, what small things, small seeds, small thoughts that are beginning, dreams being planted? Your heart is a treasury, and it can be leveraged and held for negative things or for positive, life-giving kingdom things. And to pay attention to the whispers of the Spirit and the little things that are in you, to let them grow, to incubate them, to see them come to fruition, to get more clarity, revelation around those things before you actually will step into them. The good stories of your life will begin with what God is writing on your heart. And God did that in my life. God is doing that in Oliver's life, and God is doing that in your life. Every person here has a spiritual connection to Jesus and an ability to listen to the whispers of the Spirit and to say, God, what have you got for me? What's in my future? What's my calling? What's my purpose? What's my direction? What's my passion? And let the Spirit of God begin to breathe over those things.